Welcome to the 2014-15 Counselor Webinar Series brought to you by the College Board. Today's webinar is entitled Early College Awareness for the Middle School Student. We will have a large number of participants in the webinar today, so everyone's phone has been muted on entry. We also ask that you leave your phone on mute so your colleagues can hear the presentation clearly. To get your call-in number for the audio line, please use the menu bar above. Go to the drop-down box and select audio. Participants who call in on the landline phones tend to have the best audio experience. We do look forward to answering your questions online. We will use the chat feature. This feature is located on the menu bar at the top of your screen. Questions may be submitted at any time during the presentation using the chat feature. However, we will not be taking questions until the end of the webinar presentation. To submit a question, click the chat icon, type your question into the dialog box, select all panelists from the drop-down, and click Send or Enter. Now I'd like to introduce our webinar presenters. But before I do that, I am Jennifer Dunn, the Director at the College Board Membership Mobilization and Engagement Unit, and I'll be your moderator today. I have the honor of introducing our presenters. We first will have Bridget Jackson, who's at a pre-K-12 grade school counselor at Capital City Public Charter School in Washington, D.C. Also with us, we'll hear from Ashley Smith, a professional middle school counselor at Apollo Middle School in Metro Nashville Public School System in Tennessee. In today's webinar, we hope you'll be able to review the research report by the institution from higher education, IHEP, from the Aspirations to Action, the role of the middle school parent in making the dream of college a reality. This report surveyed and examined the expectations and awareness of college among parents and middle school students. There were several sources of data used to develop the report. Second, we'll look at two of the models, middle school model approaches to early college awareness for the middle school student. And then you'll get an opportunity to hear how these two models developed strategies for creating a college-going culture in the middle school and getting their middle school students to commit to being future college students. And then at the end of the hour, you'll get an opportunity to ask our panelists some questions. On this slide is a bar graph from the report, The Role of the Middle School Parent in Making the Dream of College a Reality. I chose this graph from the report because it focuses on the opinions and perceptions of parents on academic planning for their children in middle school and high school. And the academic plan, I believe, is a roadmap that specifies the courses a student should take in what order, and also connects students' interests in college and career aspirations and goals. Okay, let's take a look at the bar graph. It shows that most parents are fairly realistic about when their child should start taking classes. It says that 66% of parents believe that students should start preparing for college and taking classes that prepare them as early as 9th grade. And only 2% say that they should take them later, around 10th through 12th grade. Also, the report states that more than 80% of parents knew what classes that their children should take in high school. Now, however, this varied among parents based on their educational background. Children of parents with college education tended to fare better academically and have the resources to facilitate the college preparation or taking college academic planning and courses for classes to prepare for college. Now, I know this may not seem like rocket science to all of you on the phone call or on the webinar today, but just to understand that re-emphasizing, especially for parents that maybe are not looking from educational background or first-generation students, that re-emphasizing that rigorous coursework is important in taking Algebra 1 as early as 8th grade to make sure that they're being set up to take advanced courses such as AP or IB courses. This next slide is 2 bar graphs from the report as well. And it's talking about how parents, their perceptions of understanding the financial planning and the use and management of money that is very critical to getting students prepared, but really looking at the middle school parent. The graph on the left shows that some parents of middle school children have started saving for college, but 63 have not. Parents who have not started saving, they say they need the money for other things, or they still feel that they have time to start. The bar graph on the right side shows the percentage of parents' awareness of possible sources of financial aid, college financial aid. Most parents are aware of, as you can see at the bottom, scholarships. But what about other sources of financial aid, and how can we start helping parents identify financial aid resources early to start saving for college, as early as really elementary school? But I know this webinar is pretty much focused on middle school. Now, in today's webinar, you will hear about 2 school models on how to build students' college aspirations, academic and college knowledge, and how to bring early college awareness and convey the conviction that all students can succeed in college. Now, this next slide, I thought, I just really briefly wanted to hit. I thought it was really funny. I looked up some comics about the middle school student and the complexities of the middle school student. And even our panelists they're going to chime in on how they meet the developmental levels of students and getting them to understand why it is important for college readiness as early as middle school. And they talk about locker combinations. That was one of the things they really highlighted of how they orient their middle school students to when they're transitioning to high school. And as you can see, the comic strip about 19 right, 13 left, 28 back, the locker combination, but yet they're going through adolescence, which is the zit count. Also, as you can see, the next comic is the 6th grade class. That everyone in the 6th grade class turned in their homework, and that is unbelievable. But the importance of time management and supporting students through outside of the classroom to make sure that they have the skills to manage the courses that they're taking. And then the last one is just about the icons to click. It's a chalkboard. Just the technology that students are now being accessing and making sure integrating that into your middle school program to ensure that they're getting academic preparation, financial planning preparation as early as middle school, and how do you make it intriguing and inviting. And so that actually brings me to my next slide, where I get to introduce Bridget Jackson, the Director of College Counseling and Partnerships at Capital City Public Charter School. She is previously she served as a College and Career Center Specialist at Mount Vernon High School in Fairfax County, and also Director of Career Services at Gibbs College in Vienna, Virginia. She received her English degree from Florida State University and her counseling degree from the University of California, San Diego. She's a busy soccer mom and a baseball mom of 3 boys. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Bridget, who's going to talk about her high school model at Capital City Public Charter School. Bridget?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Bridget Jackson. I'm the Director of College Counseling at Capital City Public Charter School. We're urban pre-K to 12 charter school in Washington, D.C., and it's a very unique and challenging at the same time situation, but we try to make the most of it and take advantage of all the opportunities we have to expose our students to the idea and the opportunities of college as early as possible. Just to give you a little bit about our school, we are pre-K 3 to 12, and We have just under 1,000 students, but we are a public charter school. If you'd like more information about our school and how it's set up or anything like that, feel free to visit our website. So at Capital City, our approach to early college awareness is really threefold, specifically when we're working with the middle school students. The first is that we have ongoing exposure and education, and again, that starts from the very earliest grades, but specifically for the middle school, I'll talk about some of the things that the middle school does really from the very first days of school. For the middle school, developmentally for middle school students, career exploration is somewhat more important than the idea of college. It's a lot easier for them to get a grasp of the idea of a job, a career, a person. This is what you do, and understanding that the education is what you need in order to be able to do that job successfully. So we do a lot of focus in the middle school on career opportunities, introducing our students to a wide variety of careers and giving them some information maybe that they didn't have before. And then the last thing, we are more than, I think, 60% of our students are below the poverty line. About 75% of our students receive free lunch. And so we're a pretty low-income school. We are an urban school in Washington, D.C. And so the big focus for us is access and accessibility. About half of our students come from families where English is not the primary language spoken in the home. 80% of our students who go to college are the first in their family to go to college. 30% of our high school graduates are the first in their family to get a diploma. So it's really important that we share that information at the earliest ages, that our students get a chance to, we want to get them to the point where they believe college is something that they can access, and that's something that we do very purposefully throughout their time at our school. Starting with ongoing exposure and education. In our middle school, we actually have a program called CREW, and the CREWs are basically, they're like a homeroom or an advisory. If you're doing responsive classroom, you may have something similar to this in your schools. We are a part of Expeditionary Learning, so this is a part of, this is one of our models. The CREWs meet every day for a short time. It's a check-in, it's an emotional check-in and thing like that. But each CREW has access to a teacher. The CREWs run there are about 12 students in a CREW. And so each CREW at the beginning of the year adopts a college or university as its identity, and they're known as that college or university. So you might be the Bowie State CREW for the year. And in the beginning of the year, the students do a lot of research about the colleges and universities, and that gives them an opportunity to start to learn. And I'll talk a little bit about that in the next slide. The next thing is, in terms of ongoing exposure and education, we really, again, I know we're really fortunate that our high school students and our middle school students are in the same proximity, but for those of you that your feeder high schools are not as close, I would definitely take any amount of time that you can to reach out to sports teams or clubs or organizations and try to get a small group or a select group of high school students to take an interest or adopt or mentor or partner with your middle school. High school students have a tremendous impact on middle school students in terms of giving them, helping them to believe in the next steps in education and what academic success really looks like. It's a lot different for a popular, 12th grade student to tell an 8th grade girl, I'm going to college, I get good grades, it's really important, than for me to do it because, I'm old. They don't really want to talk to me and they're not necessarily trying to be like me. So giving them opportunity and access to our high school students. We use our high school students in a lot of ways. We use them as panelists and judges for contests and presentations. In the middle school, some of our high school students also are assistant coaches to some of the middle school after-school programs and sports teams. Throughout the school, pre-K 3 to 12, we also have College T-shirt Day. It is a really simple way to have conversations started about college. Teachers like it because it's a dress down day for us. So on Wednesdays throughout our school on every level, you'll see students and teachers, mostly teachers and faculty, and certain crews will get together and either develop shirts, they'll create shirts, or they'll buy shirts, or someone will donate shirts. So you'll see college t-shirts all over our school on a Wednesday, anytime during the day. But what it also does is an opportunity to foster conversations, because students will say, hey, did you go to that school? Or a lot of people who were on sports teams or involved in Greek or professional organizations will wear those shirts as an expression of their college experience. And they really are really good conversation starters throughout the school, and the middle school students are very interested in that. And then we also, in all of our celebrations, we include our middle school students as often as high school students are getting acknowledged and recognized. We're really fortunate. In December, you'll see all the pictures of the First Lady. She came to visit our school to, we actually have an event called March to the Mailbox, where, again, with 80% of our students being the first in their family to go to college, during college application week, we do a March to the Mailbox where everyone in the senior class mails off at least one application. We'll get those first. For some students, it's actually the third or fourth, but it is a day where we make sure 100% of our students have at least applied to one college, and we literally march through the building and out into the community and down to the post office. For the First Lady, she heard about our program, and she actually came to visit our school. So we brought the postman here, and we actually only marched to the gym for her security, but it was still very important, and she gave a very powerful speech, and her message can be seen, again, on our school website if you'd like information about that. I can't tell you how to get the First Lady there, but I can tell you why she came to our school. And again, just anytime you can utilize high school voices in the transition from middle school to high school, the students in the middle school are very receptive to the high schoolers' opinions and their ideas. And then I always make sure not to pull like the top high school students all the time. I try to pull some students who have overcome some things, some students who maybe started off in 9th and 10th grade not as awesome as they are by the time they are seniors, but really helping to find students who our students can identify with. And again, being pre-K 3 to 12, often the students are related. There's cousins and cousins of cousins and, you know, play cousins, you know how you have that. You know, they're friends, they're neighbors, they're people who live in their building, they live on their block, they ride my bus. So giving our kids an opportunity to see kids who are not that different from they are to help them really believe that college is an opportunity for them. Attached, you'll see some of the artifacts. There's a career curriculum and a rubric for actually during crew. There's a big contest at the beginning of the year to kind of recognize and kind of rep your college that you're supporting. So you'll see that information attached, and I encourage you to take a look. And again, if you have any questions about any of the programs, they're really not, they really are things that take a little bit of planning that you can implement pretty easily. So maybe it wouldn't be a crew, maybe if you don't have the crew system, you could do a first period or something like that, or, you know, maybe one teacher who's very interested in this might, you know, name her English periods or something like that. So if you'd like some ideas, would like to talk about it offline, feel free to contact me. Career exploration. Again, with the middle school, developmentally, career exploration is a really good match for their ability to conceptualize and conceive next steps. Capital City is an expeditionary learning school. I encourage you to visit the Expeditionary Learning School website, which is elschools.org. It's at the bottom of the slide, to talk about expeditionary learning is just a way of learning, and it is how we teach from pre-K 3 to 12. Our students learn our students are taught subjects through the lens of different topics. They're interdisciplinary. They're cross-curricular. They involve everything from art to dance to fitness, to the basic subjects of humanities and math and science, and any other subject, depending on the specific topic. The teachers will work together to provide the students the best experience and the most, you know, we all know that students learn the best the more senses they use, so we try to do things that are auditory, experiential. We do a lot of field work. So a big part of expeditionary learning is the access to experts. So with any topic that our students are learning, the teachers will bring in 1 to 2 experts, or the students will go out into the field and meet experts in a particular discipline. So I may be talking about, or I can give you some examples of things that have happened recently. We had in the, one of the classes was studying World War II, and again, I know we're kind of lucky to be in the nation's capital, so we have access to things like the Holocaust Museum, so they might do field work out to the Holocaust Museum, and in the Holocaust Museum, there are a number of people who were a part of that experience, and they're experts, so they get to meet people like museum curators and historians and learn that those are actual jobs, and you can study to be those things. And we brought in some survivors of concentration camps. We Skype with different people and try to give kids an access to it. In a science class, the students were studying butterflies, and you know how you do that experiment where you order the caterpillars and they go through the whole process, but we go a step further to bring in entomologists and other science professionals. The students have access to different people and information, and it's not always just bringing them in. Sometimes they'll Skype with them. You know, Jennifer mentioned the technology aspect earlier. You know, you can do so much sometimes with just a little technology when you don't have resources readily available. But as a part of each expedition, students are introduced to experts, and there's a significant part of their learning that involves the specific career and expert that it takes to either support research or, you know, depends on the topic. There's always an expert involved, and so the students get to learn. And for many of them, it gives them an opportunity to learn, you know, it's vocabulary development. I mean, it's, like I said, very cross-curricular, but it also exposes them to some things that maybe they wouldn't have ever considered, you know. I've always thought it was kind of weird that I like bugs, but I could be an entomologist. Wow, that's a career path. You know, did you have to go to college? How many years? What's a PhD? It really opens up, literally, you know, excuse the pun, a can of worms, to expose the children to some things that maybe they weren't familiar with before. Okay. Another way we do career exploration is we do career lunches at our school, and this is actually the idea. This idea actually came from a group of parents that got together and thought this would be a really good idea. We have a number of parents who do a lot of different things in the city, and we also know people. We have friends who always want to volunteer, and so this would be a really good job if you've got a strong PTA or you have that one parent that always wants to do something to help them to organize it. Basically, once a month, we bring in different experts, parents, friends of parents, grandparents, who match a certain discipline to explore a career type, for example, nursing, engineering. We don't really do educators because they get a lot of exposure to educators here. I know we brought in activists, different things like that, just to give our students access to people from different career fields. And we include both the middle school and high school. So again, this might be an opportunity to do some things to work with the high school. Maybe you could do it 1 month in the middle school, 1 month in the high school. You can share the responsibility and kind of like a field trip. Again, just some ideas to maybe to fuel some partnerships, working more closely with the middle school if you don't have the luxury of having your middle school, if you're not at a secondary school or something like that. The high school kids really like it because there's free food. The middle schoolers really like it because there's high school students there, and it makes them feel special. And we try to make sure not to identify, again, the high-flying kids. We try to get those high-flying kids who have a real interest, but also we take recommendations from teachers who recognize a student might have a certain aptitude or an interest that maybe they aren't even aware of, so that they can get some exposure. Again, you never know when you're going to do that one thing that could change a student's life. So, you know, we definitely take the all of the above approach. So these are some of the career speakers that we've had. These are, you know, parents and different things. You can see there's some there's a lawyer here, some architects, someone from the business world. So again, just offering a variety, and if you notice, we also have, we try to expose our students to some diversity. So with a lot of the panelists coming in being parents and family members, they represent the demographics of our school, which is really awesome for our kids to see that there are engineers who have the same ethnic and social background that I have. So, and the very last thing I'll talk about, and again, I'll be available offline and, later, is the focus on accessibility and celebration. And to me, this is what we do the best at our school. Again, when you have a population of students where going to college isn't an automatic, it's not a given. It's something that, the families want, but they don't necessarily know how to access. They don't necessarily, I think sometimes they don't even believe that it's available. They're constantly hearing in the news how expensive it is, and, it's thousands and thousands of dollars. And you're talking about families that, sometimes are really just trying to pay the bill so the lights stay on, just making sure we have enough food in the refrigerator so everyone can eat, and we've got 4 and 5 kids sharing a bedroom. I mean, that's the reality of a lot of our families. So what we like to do is, again, I work in the high school a lot, so I know the students who have similar struggles. Pairing those, we like to tell the stories of the kids who are successful, and we like to tell it often, and we like to include the middle school students when we're telling those stories. We often bring siblings up. If a high school student is being recognized and we know they have siblings in the building, we bring their siblings in so that they can participate in the celebration that they're, so that they can participate in the reward that their older siblings are getting, because they see their older siblings doing homework and working hard and going to extra outside field work and things like that. So we like to include them as well, and we also thank them for supporting their siblings so that they feel like they're a part of the celebration. One of the things we also do is in April, I actually hold a college planning night that is for pre-K to 8th grade parents. And in that time, I talk about the financial planning for college, but also I talk about the social and education program. Jennifer mentioned in the research that parents who are college educated often are aware, they have a realistic understanding of the steps that it takes to get a kid in college. And for our school, that's not the majority of families. So at that time, we start to give parents information about different college access programs like Upward Bound and Capital Partners for Education and all the different, I know you guys all have all these college access programs in your community, and if you don't, you have to really do some research, because sometimes they're very grassroots. There are churches that hold SAT programs or academic workshops on the weekends and things like that. But that's the time where we really sit down and try to figure out what's available to students at this age and make sure the parents know about the different programs that are available, and then we share that information. And it's very helpful for the parents. And again, it's really, the whole purpose is to foster the feeling that college is really accessible and that it's doable. And we talk about scholarships, we talk about essay contests and poster contests where students can start to earn money in middle school and elementary school, and that usually gets parents pretty excited. And then for my final slide, again, we really like to celebrate. I mean, we will throw a party in a heartbeat for just sometimes the most minor celebration. We have 100% college acceptance, and we celebrated school-wide. It's on the marquee outside. The middle school students and the elementary school students wrote, like, congratulations for the high school students. And we talk about it in the middle school, like, wow, this is going on. Students will share information. We had a student win a scholarship. So we had one student who has, I think there are 8 siblings in the family, or there's a student with 7 siblings. We announced it to the entire school because we knew the entire school would erupt because she had siblings in 7 other classrooms in the building. And those types of things, so that kids can really feel the sense of pride and accomplishment. And I can't say it enough, to really get families to believe college is a very real option for their families and their children. And we do that by just exposing them to kids who are just like them. That was the First Lady's message when she came to our school. She said, you know, I'm not that different. I came from a neighborhood not that different than the one that you guys are coming to. And it was so powerful. The kids, they couldn't stop, you know, they were glued to her. One, she looked amazing. But, you know, what she was saying was so real. And it was something that they could really take in and say, wow, you know, she came from a neighborhood not that different than mine. And sometimes kids see so many things around them that are not about college or academics or they're ELL learners. We have a really big population of students who English is not the language spoken in their home. So especially when those kids are really, really getting acknowledged and recognized, we really like to share that information as well, just to encourage some of the younger students to know, you know, even if you're struggling now, you can get to a point where things are better. So thank you so much for giving me your time. I would talk about this all day. If you want to call me, feel free to contact me. Jennifer's going to shut me up because I'll just keep talking. So I look forward to your questions at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget. We also will have a lot of Bridget's artifacts and lesson plans that we weren't able to highlight in today's webinar or put them on the screen, and we'll follow up with a thank you email to all the attendees that will include a recording of this presentation as well as the PDF of this presentation and also artifacts from both Bridget's presentation and also the next presentation by Ashley, who I am going to go ahead and introduce now. Ashley Smith is a professional school counselor. She's been a counselor for 3 years in the middle school. She came to the profession after spending 2 years working in the U.S. Senate. Currently, Ashley is a 7th and 8th grade school counselor at Apollo Middle Prep School. She earned a bachelor's degree in human and organizational development at Vanderbilt, as well as got her master's of human development and counseling from Vanderbilt as well. Now I'd like to go ahead and introduce Ashley, who will talk about her middle school model for early college awareness. Ashley?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here with all of you. My school is Apollo Middle Prep. We do serve 5th through 8th grade students. We have about 800 students. We just ended the school year with 804 students. Our school is one of the most racially and ethnically diverse middle schools in the district. You'll see at the bottom some percentages. We are 35% African American, 42% Hispanic, 19 or 20% white, and most of that percentage is actually an Arabic-speaking population. We also are 3% Asian, a little bit less than 1% Native American. And I mention all that to say we have just a wide array of students who attend our school. Their needs are varying. What they expect from their education experience is varying. And so the things that we do, we're always trying to hit as many of our populations as we can. We also have a 41% mobility rate, which is important to note. Kids come to us in the beginning of the year. The way that classes look in August, those are not often the same students that we have in May. And so we also have to be mindful of that. So there are things we may do in the fall, and we intend to follow up in the spring, but we may have a host of new students that we have to provide background information for them on. And our average daily attendance is 95%. Our approach to college awareness includes shared leadership, which is a top-down model. Our principal is very big on that. We also integrate a lot of college strategies, techniques, and tools. Again, that goes back to the wide array of students that we have. Any technique that we find that works for any group of our students, we want to use as often as possible. And then finally, we want to build our students' college knowledge. I want them to leave this middle school with as much knowledge about college as they can have so that when they're in high school, they're building on that, not necessarily starting at the bottom, but building on what they've already learned. So shared leadership, again, my principal has a very clear vision for shared leadership, and the reason that that's important to what I do is that it offers me and my colleague an opportunity to try new things, and that is how we have stumbled upon the things that work for us. We've been able to try new things, but also been able to include a lot of people in our building. One of the highlights of trying new things for us has been our College Week, which we observed during College App Week, which Bridget did mention. Our district expects us to do something during College App Week. High schools are expected to do something. Obviously, they take advantage of the fact that they have seniors, juniors, and seniors, and especially seniors applying to college. Middle schools don't have a lot of prescribed activities that they have to do, and so that the expectation to acknowledge College App Week opened the door for us to do College Week. We kick off our week with a pep rally. We like to get college students in. I will acknowledge that is difficult for us because for us the week has been so early in the year that college students are often just starting their own classes. But we have been able to get some college students in to talk to our older students, our 7th and 8th grade students about college, what they should be doing in middle school. I think one powerful thing our students learned one year was that the habits that they form in 8th grade are the habits that carry them through high school. And so a lot of them in their minds were thinking, I'm going to get to high school and I'm going to be a better student, and that information made them realize, oh, actually maybe I should start that right now. We also have Dress for Success. It may look like to some maybe like a dress for the career that you want, but for a lot of our students, they actually don't even really understand that concept. When we've done dress for the career that you want, they come to school dressed not necessarily the way we had expected, and so we focus a lot more on dressing for success. What does it look like in the not school world? What are people going to expect from you in the way that you dress? Dress codes are a huge conversation with our students. We have a very relaxed dress code, but they go to high school and it's very stringent, and they get frustrated about that. They feel like they're stifled, but we get to have a conversation, with them about the fact that honestly you're going to have a dress code for the rest of your life. So let's talk about what that looks like. We also have a day where we let them wear hats and sweatshirts from different colleges, maybe colleges that their older siblings go to, colleges that they've heard of. Obviously, sports teams provide a lot of publicity for some colleges, and especially in our area in Nashville, there are so many different schools. And it also, this wearing college gear to school opens up a dialogue between students themselves. Instead of just coming from the adults in the building, they're talking to each other about, oh, my sister goes to this school and this is what she thinks, or my brother's really interested in this college and this is what he thinks. It really opens up a dialogue that's very healthy for them. In our building, we do implement some aspects of responsive classroom. One of the big ones is morning meeting. So every teacher in the morning, it's built into our master schedule. They have 10 or 15 minutes to spend with the kids doing morning meeting activities. During College Week, I provide morning meeting activities for the teachers, and that's huge because it gets the teachers to participate, and I know that every student in the building 5th through 8th grade is getting something during that week, and I don't have to worry that teachers are slacking or not doing what I've asked them to do. They already have enough on their plates, and they appreciate that I've done that. Some of the activities that we provide for them include college bingo, college Jeopardy. We ask teachers to bring in pictures of themselves at their college graduation. Our librarian this year got really excited, and she actually made a graph showing where all of our teachers have gone to colleges around the United States. So that week, those morning meeting activities are very huge, and that's something that's happening every day alongside some of the other activities that we do. The big thing that absolutely everybody in the building really gets into is the door decorating contest that we have. Every classroom, their homeroom, decorates the door to represent the teacher's alma mater. And it can be their undergraduate degree, it can be their master's degree. For us, a lot of the teachers in the building have gone to some of the same schools, and so that increases the competition. Who can have the best Belmont door? Who can have the best Vanderbilt door? Who can have the best Tennessee State University door? It gets the kids excited, it gets the teachers excited, and then their excitement kind of feeds off of each other. The kids really get excited about that. And then also we have opportunities for our older students, especially our 8th grade students, to do some long-term goal setting and 4-year plans. Here in Nashville, in our district, our students, and I will talk a little bit about this later, our students apply to high schools in the district, and that started this year. And so this year, it's been an opportunity for us to say, hey, you guys are going to apply for a high school next month. So let's start talking about long-term goal setting, 4-year plans. What do you need to be thinking about when you are looking at the high school that you want to go to? What you see here is a example of a high school application. This is not, we still have feeder schools, even though they apply to high schools. This is not our feeder schools application, but it's very similar. We're moving to an online-only format for this next year. But this is something that I do with our kids in the classroom time that I do have when we're filling out those high school the high school applications. Look at the classes that you can take. Look at what your options are. Let's talk about how we can decide whether or not you're ready for AP World History. This school is an IB World School, as is our feeder school, and so that opens up a whole new door for them to think about what they can be doing. This is also something that I take to the 6th and 7th grade classes because for us, some of our 8th grade students do have the opportunity to take high school credit classes, but that is solely based on their end-of-the-year testing scores from 7th grade. So I go to 6th and 7th graders and I say, look at these options that you'll have in 8th grade. Think about that now because you need to make decisions now to make sure you're doing well on those end-of-the-year tests so that you can have access to some of these additional classes. Continuing on with the shared leadership, we do college tours. My teachers have to help me with that. I cannot do that by myself. We, for the last 2 years, have been fortunate enough to take at least a portion of our 8th grade students on a college tour without them having to spend any money. Well, the first year it was because of a Gear Up grant that we had. This year it was a donation that we were able to secure. We're already trying to plan now, how are we going to fund that next year? The college tour is huge for my kids. A lot of them don't leave. Antioch is about 30 minutes south of Nashville, and a lot of them don't leave this part of town. And so for them to go on a college tour anywhere, even if it's just to Tennessee State, which is in downtown Nashville, that's huge for them because a lot of them have never been to that part of Nashville. We really, really value our college tours. Also, teachers, like I've mentioned already, they're critical to the success and to the planning of not only the college tours, but everything we do around college access and college knowledge. They are in the classrooms with the kids, and any time that I can encourage them or collaborate with them to incorporate college thinking into their lessons, whatever they're doing, I'm all about that. We do a life game with our 7th grade students. That's their big thing that they get. Their students are assigned a life, so they get a spouse or they don't. They get kids or they don't. They get a certain level of a degree attainment. They get a job, they get a salary, and then we throw things at them, real life things. Your car was towed, and you got to pay for that. Your kids get sick, and you got to pay for that. Your kids need new shoes. Your kids got to start school. You got a new job, but you need a car. All of these things, and then that fosters a conversation with the kids because they notice the kids who had higher degree attainment were able to get better jobs and they had better salaries. They can connect that right away, and so that gets them to thinking about, well, maybe college is something I need to consider. Maybe there is something I can do that's not just what I've seen if all of these opportunities exist. And finally, we have transition committees. Coming into middle school is huge. Going out of middle school is huge. A teacher just said to me yesterday, 5th graders, she's going to teach 5th grade, and she said 5th graders are like the kindergartners of middle school. And I said, that's really powerful if you think that 8th graders are the seniors of middle school and that huge transition between 5th grade and 8th grade. And so we have an unofficial 5th grade transition committee. They have started this year doing something called 5th grade 101 that has been built off of things we've been doing for the last several years. The 5th graders from our feeder elementary schools come up during the day. They tour our school. They meet some of our 8th graders who talk to them about what middle school is like. They answer their questions. Our 5th graders are rising 5th graders. They're terrified of middle school. And then we have a night program for the parents to come in to bring the kids. We talk to them about lockers. Not only are the kids worried about lockers, which goes back to the comic that we all saw earlier, not only are the 5th graders scared about lockers, but honestly, so are their parents. We talk to them about what it's like to change classes, how the bells work, how lunch works, how all of this works, and it calms them down and it helps them get in the door and be ready to learn when they come in for 5th grade. We mirror that on the way out with 8th graders. They do something called High School 101, and that is something that's done in our building. We do tour our feeder high school. They do get to go to a night program as well that talks about the high school and what all they have to offer. And our 8th grade students do classroom work that is actually exciting for them. They watch videos about colleges. They talk about high school opportunities, what they should be thinking about for high school to get prepared for college. All of that, we're connecting all of that together. The stuff you're doing today affects you tomorrow, and that affects you later. So let's plan today for what's going to happen later. For strategies, techniques, and tools, a big thing that we do is backwards engineering. When I talk to the population of students that I work with, a lot of them, when we talk about careers, they throw out careers that they've seen. And none of those careers or jobs are inherently bad, but there's so many opportunities. And I'm sure we've all heard that the jobs that middle schoolers will have when they're in college and out of college don't even exist yet. And so how can I talk to these students about not only jobs that don't even exist, but jobs that do exist, they've just never heard of them. So we backwards engineer a lot. What do you like to do? Let's start there. What do you like to do? Let's connect that to what kind of jobs we do know exist and I know exist, and what kind of jobs can we research, and then let's connect that to the degree that you're going to need and the type of school that you're going to need to go to. And it all starts with them. And a lot of them actually don't ever spend a lot of time thinking about what they like to do outside of sports, which is nothing wrong with that, or extracurricular activities. They don't ever really think about how that relates to what they can do in school. So maybe you are a really good soccer player, but what is it that you like about soccer that we can relate to what you're doing in the classroom? We also do, again, those high school applications. That is a huge, huge cornerstone for us. We talk about the classes again, the opportunities that they'll have, because we don't just talk about 9th grade classes. We talk about 10th and 11th grade classes because it's all set up, again, beginning in 9th grade. High school credit classes in 8th grade, one thing I learned very early on was how little the kids were thinking about 8th grade until they got to 8th grade. And so this goes back to backwards engineering. I have been backwards engineering, and I'm in the 6th and 7th grade classrooms talking to them about 8th grade and letting them know, your first day of 8th grade is not the day to ask me, can you be in a high school credit class? That's a conversation we need to be having now in the 6th and 7th grade. And then those kids also are great shining examples for the younger kids when I get to tell them, hey, these kids are going to walk into high school first day almost halfway done with their 9th grade year because they've got 3 credits already. So those types of things sort of feed on themselves and build on themselves. The biggest thing we do with strategies, techniques, and tools is the Explore World of Work map. Our 8th graders do take Explore. I love the World of Work map. The questions that they ask on the Explore that then prints out a report for them. The biggest thing I do is to tell the kids to take it seriously. I tell them, we're going to talk about this later. This is going to be important later. So take these questions seriously so that your World of Work map can actually help you start thinking about your future. And then I actually can even incorporate that into the final bullet, which is meeting social and emotional needs. Our kids crave that. That's why we went to a responsive classroom format, why we do morning meetings. When they feel supported emotionally and socially, it's amazing the things that we can talk about. When they feel safe in my office to throw out a crazy job that they may want, that changes things. Or even in the classroom, when they feel like they can say, I don't know, I want to be a graffiti artist. Well, you know, maybe we want to find a legal way to do that, but they feel safe, they can do that. So meeting their social and emotional needs helps tremendously. Again, building students' college knowledge is everything. College awareness is a huge thing. Just them knowing that this is a thing that's coming, it changes the way that they view everything. You can see here a part of a classroom lesson that I do. It's very simple. The kids check off boxes there with next to statements that they feel like describe them. They connect those statements to types of careers or areas of careers: realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. And then they're even able to drill that down further into specific types of jobs, of course not an exhaustive list, but specific types of jobs that then connect to degrees. And what I'm able to teach them there is that there are different kinds of degrees. And so the kids are always surprised to learn, oh, wait, I don't have to go to school for 4 years to get a degree. There are jobs that I might be interested in that only require a 2-year degree. Or they learn, hey, I really want to do this thing, and this thing is going to require me to get a 4-year degree. So what do I want to think about in terms of a 4-year college? What kinds of colleges are 4-year colleges? That's often something they have no idea. And it's fabulous for me being in Nashville with so many different types of colleges. I typically am able to think of a school that they've all heard of and say, that's a technical school. This is a vocational school. This is a 4-year degree. Some of you are going to still need more schooling afterwards. We relate as much of our college work to our academies at our high schools. Our high schools are broken down into different academies, which is why the students are allowed to apply. So, for example, there's an Academy of Banking and Finance at our feeder school, the Academy of Teaching and Service, Hospitality and Tourism. So once they've done this assignment, then we can talk about, so what high schools do you think you might want to apply to? What high schools have the academies that might help you develop those skills? Because when they graduate from these high schools, a lot of them are actually career ready. They could get a job at a bank, or they could go work at a hotel in hospitality and tourism. So for some of them, this is a huge decision to make when they're applying to high school. And finally, one-on-one counseling sessions work very well with a lot of my students to help them specifically sit down and think long term. And I found that for those one-on-one counseling sessions, it's the kids who are really at the top and they are really getting after this college stuff already that benefit, as well as the kids who are kind of at the bottom and who just aren't thinking about it because nobody sat down and talked to them one-on-one about college can be for you. I mean, it's heartbreaking for me to have an 8th grader sit in my office and go, people that like me don't go to college. And then I can say they do. Let me show you an example. Let me show you where we can get money from for you to go to college, so you're not taking that off the table because you think money is an issue. So those one-on-one counseling sessions help a lot. And thank you all for your time. I'm excited to answer any questions that you have. Of course, you can always contact me via email for anything that I may have that you can use.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually, we're moving into our Q&A section of the webinar, and one of the questions that came in was about the march to the mailbox. And Bridget, it asked, since many of the college applications are electronic now, is this a symbolic march, or how does that work with a lot of now, I guess, electronic applications?
So you're right. A lot of colleges have gone electronic, but not all of them. And for a number of the colleges, even though they are electronic, there are a lot of documents and other paperwork that needs to be sent via the regular mail, and so that's what students sent in. Some students also did applications. They elected to do one paper application. For some colleges, the paper applications are an option, so because they wanted to participate, that was one thing that they did. Another thing, we also literally require every senior as a backup to the backup to the backup to always apply to our local community college just in case. Even in our valedictorian, every single student, we like them to apply to a local school just in case they have a family emergency and they're not able to go on to begin their college right after. So that's a paper application. So the students are really excited. They remember seeing classes before them do it, so they all really want to participate. So we all save that one paper application for that day.
So another question was really to you, Ashley. You had talked about high school credit and middle school, and actually I was going back and forth with someone who is on the line about the importance of taking possibly Algebra 1 or high school credit in middle school. I guess tell me what the purpose of that is, and that how do you assess students, especially if they're, you know, some students may be developmentally ready for a high school class or not developmentally ready. Can you talk about what you do at your school and why that is important, and maybe some challenges and how you overcome them?
Need to excel. We struggle at this school with making sure that we don't leave, and I know this is a scary term, but that we don't leave any students behind, specifically the kids who are achieving at a high level. So we try to standardize it, again, a buzzword, to make sure that we're getting students who have shown that they can do well in high school credit classes. This is a process that we're still trying to figure out. Last year we gave them the students who were recommended by teachers, we gave them an Iowa test, and depending on how they did on that, they got into high school credit classes. Next year we're just going to use our end of the year assessment. It's called TCAP. That's going to be the only way you get in. But the algebra teacher, the algebra teacher, and actually it's going to be integrated math. I saw somebody mention integrated math. We are moving to integrated math in our district. So, but the integrated math teacher said that we need to come up with a way to remove students who show us early in the year that they're not going to be able to handle the workload or to do the work. So we want to give our students those opportunities, because that again, it leads into chances in high school. They walk in, if they do all of our high school credit classes, they walk in with 3 credits. You need 7 credits to be a sophomore at our high schools in Tennessee. So they are halfway there. That makes them feel good, and then when they're 11th and 12th graders, they're looking at dual enrollment classes. So it's good to start this early, because I don't know if any other people are experiencing this, but it feels like they're pushing everything down. Pre-K is kindergarten, kindergarten's 1st grade, 8th grade's 9th grade. So that's a lot of why we do what we do, again, to make sure our high students are still high and achieving well, and also because that's just the way things are going.
So one of the other questions, and it looks like we're going to, probably we're still going to continue our Q&A, because I want to make sure that I hit everything, but we are, if you have to go ahead and log off, that's fine, but we're going to go ahead and continue the Q&A a little bit after the end of the hour. One of the questions was about your career exploration program, and I think that was for you, Bridget. What other additional things do you do for career exploration?
Well, as I said before, the most organic thing we do is we bring in the element of career as a part of curriculum. Just about anything you're teaching your students, particularly in science, you're going to run across the people who do the work that you're studying. And so it's very easy to talk about what those people do and how those are jobs. But the same thing holds true for anything. One of the things we do in our orientation, Ashley talked a lot about transition programs. We ask the students to think about their journey to school that day and how many people they saw that seemed to really love what they were doing and the people who really seemed to not like what they were doing. And there's a conversation about that. Then the follow-up discussion, the next day, they actually go ask people, are they living their dream? And if they're not, when did they stop believing in their dream? And if they are, ask them what was their journey like. And that's an English assignment. So as you can see, we really try to bring career into the curriculum, working with the students. So a lot of that can happen very organically in the beginning of the year when you're working with new students and teachers are trying to get to know them. You obviously don't jump right into curriculum, but you try to have some assignments where you're learning about students. So it's very easy to tie in the who is doing the work, and then once you identify the who, how do they get to those positions, doing it through the career. And then we do the things that are a little bit more artificial, like the career lunches and things like that, because those are simply, here's a career program. I also wanted to mention, I saw a couple people asking about Ashley's Game of Life. If you have Junior Achievement in your community, and you contact Junior Achievement, they have several programs that they will share with your school at no cost. And sometimes they'll send in a program director who's a community educator to do workshops with your students where they get to experience what life is like, and they kind of give them what Ashley said, a fake identity, and they have responsibilities and they have achievements, and then they also have barriers. And they talk about how your decision-making impacts your ability to have the things you want and do the things you want in life.
And to build on that, actually, we do use Junior Achievement here. Our fifth graders go to their, I'm slipping my mind, but they go to Junior Achievement and they participate in their activities. And so that's something that next year every grade level will do. So that was a great suggestion.
Yes. And some of the attendees are also saying that they use something similar in their 8th grade. It's called the reality store or the reality game as the game of life. So I do want to move on because we have a minute left, and just give us a couple of announcements. Just some upcoming, our last webinar for the year is Counselors and the Redesign Assessments, Understanding Scores, Reporting, and Student Opportunity. And this is also for middle school because we are looking at the PSAT 8-9, the PSA 10, PSAT NMSQT, and the SAT, the suite of assessments. And so it'll talk about our new scoring and reporting and opportunities for students through the new assessment system. And in addition to that, to learn more about the assessment redesign, we do have a guide for counselors on the redesign, and this is for middle school and high school. Talks about the reporting frequently asked questions. You can also download this publication. It's on counselworkshop.collegeboard. On our Council Workshop page, so there's the web address there. Many of you may have missed some of our previous webinars. We do have on-demand webinars, our archived webinars. As you can see, there's the web address below. You can actually view them and see and get some skills and knowledge development for helping and supporting your students' college and career readiness. And so those are also online, our recordings. If you haven't had an opportunity to join our online community, do so, because there's over 700 counselors that are networking, they're talking, exchanging ideas, providing information, asking questions from one another throughout the country. And it's a great way to get up-to-date information. And so you can also join the community by going to our Counselor Workshop page. In addition to this, we started the campaign about 2 years ago and now have about 5,000 counselors. It's a For More campaign. It is looking at increasing applications for students, having students apply to 4 more colleges. But I would like to kind of hold middle school counselors, how can we start helping students have foundational knowledge or college knowledge about the application and admissions and completing the application, and what are the parts of the application, and the importance of managing the application process, and also giving that orientation to parents. So if you haven't signed up for the For More campaign, do so. You do get opportunity to access various tools and resources. First, before we end the webinar, I'd like to thank our panelists, Ashley and Bridget, for all the work that you did on developing this PowerPoint and the work that you do in your schools. And also giving an opportunity for folks to contact you individually to kind of ask you for some of the work that you are doing. And I'd like to thank all the attendees. There will be an evaluation at the end of the webinar. If you could please complete that. We want to make sure that all of our webinars are and professional development offerings are, top-notch, that we're giving quality professional development. And the only way we know that is by your feedback. So please go ahead and fill that evaluation out. Again, the presentation will be sent to you within 24 to 48 hours. With a PDF of the presentation. We also will include tools that Ashley and Bridget have as well, and a PDF of the presentation as well as a recording. So thanks again for joining us.